We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
CNN shows its anti-Trump bias. Biden's student loan forgiveness dealt another blow by the courts. China rebuffs Biden's attempts to normalize relations, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. CNN host Casey Hunt abruptly ended her interview with Trump campaign press secretary Caroline Leavitt on Monday after Leavitt criticized CNN anchors Dana Bash and Jake Tapper as being biased against Donald Trump. That's why President Trump is knowingly going into a hostile environment on this very network, on CNN, with debate moderators who have made their opinions about him very well known over the past 8 years, and their biased coverage of him, Leavitt said, previewing the debate on Thursday between Trump and President Biden. Bash and Tapper will co-moderate the highly anticipated debate, and Hunt wasn't pleased to hear them get criticized. Leavitt's mic was silenced and CNN abruptly ended the interview rather than address anti-Trump comments made by Tapper and Bash over the past 8 years. A major initiative by the Biden administration to lower student loan payments and provide debt cancellation to more borrowers is in jeopardy after 2 courts temporarily blocked parts of the plan. The decision, issued Monday by federal courts in Kansas and Missouri, prevent the Biden administration from going forward with certain aspects of SAVE, a repayment plan officials launched last year. About 8 million borrowers are enrolled in SAVE, and roughly 54,300 borrowers have had $613 million in debt wiped out so far as part of SAVE. The decisions stem from 2 separate lawsuits challenging the legality of the plan. Some borrowers were slated to see lower payments through SAVE in the coming months, a provision the Kansas court's decision stops from going into effect while the case is litigated. The Missouri court ruling temporarily prevents the Biden administration from canceling more debt under SAVE while the case there plays out. It appears that borrowers already enrolled in SAVE won't see their current payments change as a result of the decisions, at least for now. Nonetheless, this is going to be incredibly chaotic, said Persis Yu, the deputy executive director of the Student Borrower Protection Center, an advocacy group. Biden's student loan cancellation program is unpopular with a majority of voters, as the debt does not actually get canceled, but is transferred to the taxpayer. An increasingly contentious Democratic Party battle between a member of the far-left squad in Congress and his more moderate challenger that spotlights the party's deep divisions over the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza is taking center stage today as New York holds its primaries. The race between 2-term Representative Jamal Bowman and popular Westchester County Executive George Latimer in New York's 16th Congressional District, which covers southern Westchester County and a small portion of the Bronx, is already in the record books as the most expensive congressional primary in the nation's history. But the contest could make more history as Bowman, a former middle school principal who 4 years ago ousted 16-term Representative Eliot Engel in the Democratic primaries, now faces becoming the first member of the far-left squad to be ousted from Congress, and the first House member of either party to be defeated by a primary challenger this cycle. Prominent Democrats such as Hillary Clinton have come out in support of Latimer. Illustrating the rising crime in blue cities, police in New York City are searching for a suspect that sexually assaulted a woman who was sunbathing in Central Park on Monday afternoon. Around 1:30 p.m., police responded to an area of Central Park for a report of an attempted rape on a female victim. Police said a woman in her 20s was sunbathing alone in a secluded part of the park when a black man believed to be in his 30s approached her and began exposing himself. Officials said she got up and tried to run away when he tackled her from behind. Meanwhile, in St. Louis, police have been battling stiff budget cuts and severe staff shortages in the wake of the Defund the Police movement, even as the city has more than 1,000 unsolved murders and has been consistently ranked as one of America's most dangerous cities. In 2019 and 2020, St. Louis had one of the highest murder rates for any major American city per 100,000 residents, with one of those deaths counting the killing of former St. Louis police captain David Dorn amid protests following George Floyd's death in Minneapolis. Julian Assange will go free after pleading guilty. The WikiLeaks founder, who's been pursued by the U.S. since publishing a trove of sensitive classified documents in the 2010s, has agreed to plead guilty to a single felony charge of illegally obtaining and disclosing national security material. And if all goes to plan, Assange will be sentenced to the time he has already served in a British prison while fighting extradition to the U.S. and allowed to return to his native Australia. The Supreme Court will weigh in on the Biden administration's challenge to the constitutionality of a Tennessee ban on doctors providing gender transition care, including hormone therapy and puberty blockers, to people under age 18. Agreeing to hear the case puts the court at the center of a hot-button political issue. Over 20 states have passed laws to curb gender transition care for minors since 2021. The High Court will take up the case next term, which starts in October. In November of last year, President Biden and Chinese leader Xi Jinping agreed to boost engagement between ordinary Chinese and Americans, part of an effort to repair fraying ties ahead of a tense election year in the U.S. Instead, says Nicholas Burns, Washington's ambassador in Beijing, China has actively undermined those ties, interrogating and intimidating citizens who attend U.S. organized events in China, ramping up restrictions on the embassy's social media post, and whipping up anti-American sentiment. They say they're in favor of reconnecting our two populations, but they're taking dramatic steps to make it impossible, Burns said in an interview with the Wall Street Journal. The 68-year-old Burns, a veteran diplomat who took up his post in April 2022, used unusually forceful language to criticize what he described as an effort by Beijing to weaken America's standing and disrupt its diplomatic activities in China. The remarks by Burns show that behind a fragile détente reached last year, there has been growing concern among U.S. officials about Beijing's sincerity in improving relations. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.